Okay, now imagine that we have a raised floor and we have some panels here and there that I'm going to just freehand and sketch in the idea. So this is a way to do your ideation, is to have a wireframe of the space and then start some sketch. So in terms of raise the floor, I'm going to raise up somewhere here for, I can still draft. Okay, I'm going to raise up the floor. So this is the first step, and then I'm going to do a second step. Okay, so how do I do it? So I'm going to measure one height here, and I'm going to measure two height here. So this is only going to raise one, but here I'm going to raise two. So one height is about 150, so 150. Okay, so roughly about the same, because I'm going to use parallel. So no worry if you don't measure the rest, just measure in one place, because it's parallel. So all of the height are the same. Okay, now I'm going to measure 300. One is 150, two is 300. So 1, 2, 3. 300 height is more. Okay, here's the 300. And then, okay, just draw. And also would intersect with a column. And here you would draw the first step. Okay. So the first step, the height, will end up somewhere in the middle of the second step. You have to draw this. Okay, what happened is there are something that you may want to erase, which is the bottom of the second step, because you would not be able to see it when the first step, once you finish the first step, that should be erased. Okay, because this is a floor and you're not seeing the floor. If you erase that, and then I also erased this, then you see it. So then you see first step, second step. Okay, so here the height is more. So I'm going to draw in. And that's the bottom of the column, so that should also be gone. Maybe I would use a little bit darker pen to ink. And maybe it's a good idea, instead of using pen, you should probably just use pencil to draw the structure, so that you can anytime erase. Okay, so okay, so I raised some steps. Imagine there's a shelf around this column that kind of in a wiggly shape. So what you can also do is measure the height. Let's say, okay, at about 1 meter or 75, like a regular table. Okay, so I would measure 75, less than a meter, so it's not very high. So if you have, oh, actually, that's a problem. I should not measure from the ground. I should measure from where the second step end up. So 70, we measure it. Okay, so it's about here. Still not much. Correct. So, so if I'm going to draw a kind of like a counter around the column, okay, imagine the shape, okay, maybe this much, so about 500, and then maybe goes around. Okay, so let's imagine how it looks like. Okay, when the counter is a countertop, intersect with the column that looks like that, but I do have, I can just freehand in, maybe goes around to the corner, that comes back. Okay, so I'm going to give a little bit of height, and where the height is from this edge is actually where it tangents with your curve, so roughly the further point. So that's where this height started. Okay, so now I have a countertop. Okay, so then what else I'm going to have it in my space is, you probably don't have this, I don't know if you have it structure like this in your project, but that's just an illustration. So let's introduce some panels. I'm going to maybe have some very interesting panel that's all slanted in various directions. So I'm going to construct, and they are partially inside and partially outside. So first I'm just going to loosely, okay, pencil in. So those are the panels, and then those panels kind of tilted and rotate. For example, okay, 2 panels here, maybe 1 here, to intersect with my original space. But this is on the ground, so I'm going to think that once it lifted up, it also was slanting to a different direction. So, for example, actually I could probably use this 2 shape to illustrate 1 panel, which means this is a bottom, and when it reached to 2 meter, okay, maybe it's not reaching the full height, or 3 meter is going to be here. So what happened is, this is a base, this is the 3 meter, this is 0, this is 3000. Okay, so that's 1 panel instead of 2 panel. So how do I do it? I'm going to give a height. Okay, I need to know when it reached to 3 meter where this thing is end up. I'm going to measure. Okay, 3000. Okay, which is right here. Use your parallel. If you're good, you can sort of see, okay, that's parallel to the edge. Okay, instead of measuring all of them, you can just sort of see, okay, this is my bottom edge. Okay, move a little. Verticals are still vertical. Okay, so basically reconstruct this surface at 3 meter height. So that surface at the bottom, and here is when it reaches to 3 meter, is basically an identical one. So since the bottom is here and once it reaches 3 meters is this shape, so I'm going to connect So basically I constructed the panel which is starting from this shape and end up at 3 meters height at this point. Okay, draw in. Something is overlapping with that's why. Okay, so that's basically the shape. So maybe I do another one like this and then it would intersect somehow with or actually goes over the column and reaching somewhere here. Okay, so if this is the bottom, let's just imagine where it end up. I'm going to make it again 3 meters height. Okay, so and let's say it's end up somewhere here and become larger. So this shape expanded to this length expanded to this. Okay, so it also has a height, but I think because most of it would be covered, so what we see is we would see, I do need to give hold on, let's see. Let's just connect and see how it looks like. Okay. And also give a thickness. Okay. So once it reaches to the end, that's cutting, or actually intersected just a little bit because it's a board. Okay, so I think it still has the thickness, or somehow it's slanted at the corner maybe, yeah. This is still that direction, same direction. Okay, so the board is coming all the way and get into the wall a little bit. Okay, so now the question is how it intersects with the column and where it intersects. Okay, so because if in this case we need to project the shape back to zero height. So here is 3 meters height. Okay, then here is where it got projected back to the edge, and then of course the edge of the wall and extended a little bit. So that shape got projected, this bit of distance projected, okay, using parallel line, actually vertical, to here. So that means if I connect those corners, I would see if this shape is on the floor without raising a height, it's taking a shape like this. So it does intersect very interestingly at the corner with the column. It might be intersect somewhere else, but since it's at the corner, so that's what okay, so that means this board, when it intersects with the column, it intersects at this height. Okay, so I'm going to just give a full height of this sort of the column. Let's see. Okay. Okay, this is the height. Okay. And this is the width. So projecting this distance to here and then inwards. Okay. Inwards would intersect with the other vertical line. Okay. So basically this shape is brought up all the way to the space at the same height with your space. I'm going to draw in just so that we can see what this column is, but I may not draw the whole height because at this point it's covered by the board that I designed, so I would draw a parallel line. Actually, this may not be parallel. Okay, that's the trick, I think. Once it intersect, I would have to think about it. I know it intersects this edge right here. So, okay, where did it intersect? If this shape, sometimes you want to extend a little bit and see if this shape, if this column extend all the way outside, it would intersect here. And that would be, okay, that would be the, so I needed to think about it. This edge, when it intersects with this column, where is the height? Okay, I know that here is intersection. It is actually parallel. So, yeah, so it's actually parallel. So it did intersect with the column parallel, but of course the column only comes to here. That's our imagination. So, okay. So that's what you would see. That is the intersection when the board intersects with the column. And then this part is actually not parallel to the edge. Because this is slanted up, so we would imagine this is not parallel to this edge but lifting upwards. So that's where this is actually interesting. So maybe that's where I need to extend. Okay, it's very technical. Extend here, and then the height of this board at this point is here. Okay, so that's the height, and it goes into the space, projected back to the column. Oh, it's right here. So what happened is, okay, this board, we know that when it intersects with the column is not going to be parallel to the edge because this is a horizontal. It's going to lift up, but we need to know where it ends up. So what we do is we extended this column to here, and then if the column extended into the space outside of the space here would intersect with the board, because the board goes this direction, so it would be here. So that would be the height, yeah? So here would be the height when it intersect. So we would bring the same height back to using a parallel line. So basically parallel, okay? So this little bit is parallel to here, so it ends up here, okay? So that board is intersecting right here. Okay, that's still the column. And some partial part of the board is not going to be seen. So that's it's intersecting with the wall, and because here is our structure, so only this little part is going to be thin. Okay, so now it's very sophisticated, but let me highlight this. So that is a board. Start it from here, okay, and go all the way and intersect with the wall, and along the way also intersect with your color. Not very easy. Okay, so I'm going to I have already quite a bit in there, so I'm going to trace it over, okay, and then ignore all the details, and then produce a final drawing of this.